Welcome to the Impact Marriage Podcast, a place for open and honest conversation about marriage, including very practical advice about how to have a God-honoring marriage. We're your hosts, Allan and Nicole Blain, with 33 years of marriage since age 20 and 6 children raised. Our passion is to help you enjoy a passion-filled, mission-driven, relationship-rich marriage. So let's get into this week's episode, number 5, and we're going to be talking about conflict resolution.
This one's going to be a really good one.
That's
so
right.
Listen up, everyone.
That's right. So why conflict resolution, why this is so important is one of the first areas we're going to go into. We're going to move into then the top 10 things that couples fight about. Not an all-inclusive list, but the top 10. Some I'm sure you're going to relate with, like us. And then we want to talk about how to help you better understand conflict and to have a better perspective towards it. And then we're going to share our to-do list and our do not do list, okay? When we're dealing with conflict, items to do and items not to do, and encourage you to make your own list like that ahead of time with you and your spouse. And then we're going to end this episode by sharing one of our favorite resources as it relates to marriage.
It's our favorite.
It's our favorite.
Yes.
Nicole says it's our favorite. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
And it's a courageous conversation guide for resolving conflict effectively. And we're going to share that with you. We've got a free download that you can grab in the show notes below. There's a link to it, but we're going to go ahead and go through it towards the end of this show. And we're then going to role play. Okay. So we're not only going to go through the guide. It's a little 1-page, simple 8-question guide. But then we're going to role play with you just in an example from our marriage. And we hope that that's helpful and productive for everybody. Right, babe?
Yes. So let's talk about our story and why we are so passionate about this.
Let's do it.
First off, we have been married for 33 years. So we have learned a lot what not to do.
We've made enough mistakes.
All the mistakes. And
Yes.
we want to share that with you all. And the thing is, we got married at the young age of 20, but we had no premarital counseling whatsoever. I think someone suggested it, but we ran out of time because remember we were supposed to get married in January and then we moved it up to September. And I don't know. That's probably just an excuse that I'm saying. But
I just didn't value it. I didn't at the time. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't. We just didn't know. And my parents didn't recommend it. So I think it was a relative that encouraged it, but we just never did. And so I wish we would have had it, but we had to learn the hard way. And then we have had major life stresses, wouldn't you say? I mean, we've faced a lot. In that 33 years of marriage, I had some health challenges, major health challenges, where I could hardly take care of the children. And so that's big because then the roles change or whatever. He's got to help out a lot. And then we moved 22 times in 33 years of marriage. A lot of people can't believe that. And when we tell them, they're like, were you military? And I'm like, no, we were crazy.
We learned how to pack a U-Haul.
I guess we like adventure. I don't know. But I think we thought the grass was always greener on the other side is what happened. And it never was. There's negatives in every place you live.
It's green on the side you water it, right?
That's right. And then we had 6 children. And the first 3, we had them pretty close together. So, I mean, that's a stress, even though it's a blessing. But, and so moving
Still
with all that.
Still plenty of
with 6
opportunity
children,
for conflict when you have several children,
and
right?
And then we had financial struggles as well. And a lot of people can't believe that because they're like, you guys are so successful now. But there was a point where Allan lost his job. We were on food stamps for a long time, which actually was like, I felt like a good thing. It taught us so much. But at that time, it was devastating and it was a big stressor in our marriage. And then also addiction in the family. So Allan had DUI and you had your own addictions you were dealing with, chewing in the beginning of our marriage. You wouldn't think that's a big deal, but they say getting off that, he tried to get off it numerous times. And they say that's more addicting than heroin. And I'm like, well, no wonder, because it was hard for me, during that time. And then we had 2 children too that went down that road. And so that was a lot, on us. And then we've also had deaths in the family and also family trauma. So just a lot. And to look at us and go, oh my goodness, we have a red hot marriage and it's thriving today. And we, went through so much, so many of these trials, but we've made it through. And so our hearts, Al and I, we just want to share with you what we've learned along the way. And that's why we are so passionate about this episode in particular, but the whole podcast. And
Right.
so, anyways, I'll let you take it from
Okay.
there.
Yeah, and I just want to say kudos to you. I mean, for regardless of whether you are a young or old man or woman that is looking forward to being married someday, or you're newly married, maybe you're in your first, few months or years of marriage, or maybe, you've been married 30, 40, 50, 60 years and you're tuning into this podcast and you're regardless, I guess, of whatever stage of life you're at, you're investing the time to be here with us to, like Nicole said, learn from our mistakes, to learn what
Yeah.
we've learned from other people, and investing into our marriage so that you can have a high performing marriage and enjoy the fruit that God intended
Yes.
to come out of an amazing marriage. It's what he intended. He didn't intend marriages to be broken. He didn't intend them to be a drain and a suck on our life. He intended them to be life giving to each other and to the world around us. And so, anyway, I just think
That's
that's,
good.
I just reminded as I was listening to you talk, Nicole,
Yeah.
that, yeah, I mean, we weren't on podcasts. I don't think podcast existed then, but
No,
we
they
weren't,
did not.
there was information,
I
right?
wish
We
they
weren't
did.
reading the books. We didn't
No.
do the premarital
No.
counseling. We weren't,
We were winging it. We
yeah,
were winging it.
we
Yeah.
weren't going to marriage retreats. We weren't investing in our
No.
marriage at all
No. And I wish we were
for
back
many of
then.
those years.
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
we had to learn the hard way,
for
unfortunately.
sure. So why conflict resolution is important? I mean, the obvious, to maintain unity. We talked about that in last week's episode. We talked about intimacy and the 7 different pillars or types of intimacy or things that can fuel intimacy. God's design for marriage is oneness, is unity, and
Mhm.
conflict unresolved,
Yes, unresolved.
it breaks down. It has the potential to break down or it does break down that
Mhm.
unity. And so that's the obvious reason why conflict resolution in this topic is so important.
Mhm.
I mean, this is work, right? Marriage is work, but what a value is easy. I've said that so many times to our children and to our team and people that we
Yeah.
coach and to myself and to each other. It's like,
Yeah.
what of value is easy? There's nothing of great
So
value
true.
that is easy, right? So marriage is work, but this is one of those topics that, yes, it is work, but the fruit that comes out of
Mm,
investing into resolving conflict
worth it.
is amazing.
Yeah.
It's intimacy, it's oneness, it's
Mm.
unity, it's closeness, it's all the things everybody desires from a marriage, and not everybody, in fact, most do not get to
Mhm.
enjoy, not on the level God intended anyway, because of a lot of reasons. But this is a big one because they're not willing to invest into resolving conflict in a healthy manner. So that's one. Two is, I would say, to honor God. I mean, our marriage is a reflection of Christ's love for his people, his church, his bride. That's you and me if we're adopted into his family. And our marriage is a picture of that to the world around us,
Yes.
or to each other, to children, to our children, if you have children, to our
Yeah.
communities and our churches and everywhere else, right? Another
That's
reason,
huge.
that's a big one, right?
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Another big one is to prevent the destructive effects of sin. I mean, bitterness, unforgiveness,
Mm.
selfishness, pride, these things that can creep in if this conflict is undealt with. And also, I mean, the flip side of that is obviously to exercise the fruits of the Spirit and walk out the Christ like love for our spouse, for our soulmate, again, for the world around us, things like humility, patience, forgiveness, selfishness. So there's another reason. Now, conflict resolution also is a process, as I mentioned a minute ago, that really can build deeper intimacy. It can build trust. It can build maturity within the relationship. I know we've experienced that
Yes, we have.
in more recent years, and it's just been such a blessing to you, to you,
To
to you. It's such a blessing to us.
us.
Can be such a blessing to you all as well. Is what I was trying to say.
We
But
understood. We
anyway, and
understood.
also another thing is we're in a spiritual battle here. And we do not want to give the enemy even the slightest little, we don't want us even his pinky toe to be able to get a foothold, as the Bible talks about in Ephesians, I think 4, maybe verse 26, 27, somewhere in there. It talks about it's in the context of resolving anger quickly and not to let the sun go
Mm,
down on your wrath. It
mhm.
goes on to say, so that you can avoid giving the devil a foothold, right?
Yes.
But so
Yes.
he doesn't get a
We
grip,
talked about
a
that in the
little
last
grip.
episode, yeah.
Yeah.
So important.
And so we're in a spiritual battle. And although we're not talking about, anger necessarily when we're talking about conflict resolution, although that or cannot play into it, resolving conflict quickly and efficiently and effectively, maybe that's the better word, effectively, is just
Mhm,
saying, no, devil, you don't have an opportunity in this area of our life to get in and mess with my head or to mess with my heart. That's not going to
mhm.
happen. So those are just some of the reasons why we feel that conflict resolution is so important.
Yes, and then let's talk about what couples fight about most.
Mm,
I'm gonna list top there's these are the top 10 conflict, triggers, and there's way more. Oh my goodness, as we were listing these, I'm like, "Wait, there's this, there's that," But I'm just gonna talk about the top 10. Number 1 is finances and money. I know that that was a huge one in the beginning of our marriage. I mean, huge. We
yeah.
didn't really understand it. I wish someone would have helped us on that, but, yeah, I
Can I say
felt
something on that?
yeah, go ahead.
I think that, this top
Mm,
10 list is, we've got them written down here, is not, it's not going to be, and it's in order of priority for most couples, like the average couple out there. So, like, even though finances is number one thing people fight about or have conflict about,
yeah.
it doesn't mean that's number one for you in your
Oh,
marriage,
yeah,
right?
no.
But it
No,
was number one for us.
it
It has
was.
been in the
Yes,
past number one for us. If we
yes.
look over the
Thank you for
33
clarifying
years,
that. Yeah.
no, I think you said it perfectly fine. I'm just adding
Yeah,
to what you
okay.
said, just that was the number one thing that we've had conflict about. And so
Mhm.
again, as she goes through this list, it may be different for you and your family, but
I know it's huge for a lot of people, a lot of
it's
couples,
huge.
isn't
That's
it?
why it's number one.
Yeah.
That's why it's number one.
Dave
Yeah,
Ramsey says something about that.
he
I can't
does.
remember. What is it
Yeah, he
that he
he he
says?
said that. Yeah, I won't quote him exactly, but something like, he says finances is the number one. Now, I don't know if it's been taken over now by something else, but this was a few years ago. But finances was the number one thing cited as a reason for divorce. And he went
That's right.
on to say,
That's right.
this was a few years
Yeah.
ago, he went on to say that just $500 a month, people said, would have made the difference between,
Wow.
this excruciating, unbearable in their perspective amount of
Mhm.
financial stress in their life that spread out and spilled over into their marriage and their
Mhm.
health and a lot of other areas, sadly.
Yeah.
But the $500 a month would make the difference. It was
I
something
could
like
see
that.
that for
Yeah.
sure. That's good. And number 2 is sex and romance. So that could be, I know, yeah. Well, we're going to talk about this later, but so not getting enough of sexual intimacy, or for the woman, I think of women because we're more like we want you to hold our hand and date us and all that, bring us flowers, and
Mm.
so that's number 2. Number 3
And can,
is
and
yeah, go
also that
ahead.
that could be outside the marriage too, I think.
Oh, yeah, like, you mean, like, with a coworker, flirting with a
I
coworker?
think so.
Yeah,
I think that could definitely, I mean, we know that
that's
can create
huge.
conflict. I mean, we know that created conflict in our marriage years ago. So we
Yes,
know that's a
yes.
probably a big thing. And I just think
Like
it would probably fall in this category.
someone else getting more attention than
Mhm.
your spouse.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be a coworker. I mean, it could be family. Like, maybe, someone in your family is getting more attention, like a father or mother.
Could be.
You go straight to them. I go straight
Yeah.
to my mom to tell her or whatever
Yeah.
instead of you.
Yep.
Like any
For sure.
wins or whatever. Okay, number 3 is children and parenting differences. I know that was a conflict in our marriage because we talked about how I wanted to homeschool, and you're like, "No way." And that was a conflict, but we
I
overcame that.
changed.
Yeah. So, and then number 4 would be chores and roles and how that looks, and division of responsibilities. So I don't feel like we have a problem in that area, but some people might,
Mhm.
especially if the 2 spouses, like, we both work from home, but if, say, they both work outside the home, I can see how hard that is, especially if the wife has long hours.
Right.
It's like, okay, and she gets home late, maybe because of traffic, and she can't, get home in time to cook, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Or one feels like they're pulling the weight financially
yeah,
for the family, and someone else is
yeah.
maybe perceived as being lazy, or who knows
Yes,
what. I could just
yeah,
see this taking all kinds of
yep,
shapes and sizes in different marriages
mhm.
scenarios. Yeah, for sure.
And, the 5th is in-laws, extended family. So, that's
Yeah.
another one I know that's huge that, just talking to friends and stuff, girlfriends where they've had some, issues there. And so, and then 6, quality time. So just not spending enough time with your spouse. That one's huge because that's my love language, quality time. I can't imagine, but you do a great job there. And then 7,
Working on it.
work priorities and different goals and vision. So, um, that one I can yeah, we talked a little bit about goals and vision, but maybe, one spouse has just different goals and visions than
Mhm.
the other one.
Which is why when we talked about in episode 3, planning your year together is so important to really dream together. And, you can have different dreams and different visions, but to be able to come together
Yeah,
and unify on those and map out your year, so important.
yeah,
I would guess most of the people that are having issue with that aren't taking the time to really invest in their marriage in that area. And so I think that's so important if
yeah.
that's something that you're struggling with.
And it could be like a spouse where they're a workaholic
Could be that too. Yeah.
and they don't wanna take off. They just wanna make all this money because 'cause they're stressed maybe about finances, but they're a workaholic and they're not taking off. They're not taking, maybe hardly any vacation time or spending time with the family. That could become a big issue.
Hmm.
And then, 8 is social media. So, yeah, that one I can see being, yeah, super big. And I think of too, like social media, like pornography,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
having addiction to social media, and that could even be pornography
Right.
on the phone.
Yep.
Because back in our day, we didn't have cell phones, when we were first married. And yeah, I guess guys would have to get a hold of magazines, but it's so easily accessible now. And so, which is scary
And
because of
by the
social
and
media.
by the way, we're doing a whole entire episode just on pornography. We're gonna have a special guest on, and it's gonna be very, very helpful, very, very encouraging. He's gonna share his story of being on the edge of really suicidal, on the verge of taking his life. He was in such a deep, dark place because of pornography, and just what God did in his life, and how God freed him of that, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago now. And just what an amazing life of victory in Christ that he's been living, and their marriage, and how amazing it is. So, and just tips and you know wisdom that he has to share with us all. So super excited to take
That
a
will
deep
be
dive on that
yeah,
topic.
that will be a huge encouragement for our
Yes,
listeners. Okay. And then 9 pet peeves and habits. So, we'll probably talk about that later.
that'll be our
And
example.
yeah, that'll be our example. And then 10, poor communication or unresolved past hurts. So, we might have some people that will just be bitter, hold it all in and just, yeah, not communicate, sweep it under the rug. Um, and yeah, so
Not good.
not good.
Not good at all. So just talk a little bit about just understanding conflict. Most unhealthy conflicts are not about the issue. And if you think about this for a minute, because I say unhealthy conflicts because there is healthy conflict and there's unhealthy conflict.
Mhm.
Okay. There's the kind of fights and arguments and yelling and, physical abuse. And, the sky's the limit on what that could end up looking like in a marriage. But there's this unhealthy way to deal with conflict, and then there's a healthy way to deal with conflict, and that's what we're talking about today. And just conflict in itself is not a bad thing. But really, even in the unhealthy conflicts that you may have, as you're listening to this episode today, you may go, "Yeah, our conflict has not been healthy," and so I'm super excited to learn some strategy to help with that. it is helpful to know that really what they're about is the other person feeling disrespected, or maybe both, but feeling disrespected and or feeling unloved and or feeling unheard and or feeling unsafe. So it's feelings of disrespect, unloved, unheard, unsafe that is going to lead potentially to these very unhealthy actions and words that just don't serve the marriage well, do not serve the relationship well, and cause a lot of damage in the process. That is the root of that unhealthy conflict. And so, the whole purpose of our talk today is to help you, if you're not already, being able to view conflict properly, to be able to resolve it in a healthy manner so that it actually, again, like we said, bonds you closer than ever. That conflict is not a terrible thing. And really, and that's an important point, it is super important to view conflict for what it is: normal. It's normal. As you, Nicole, were reading through these top 10, and I don't know
Mhm.
where this list came from exactly. So you mentioned pornography. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's got to be in the top 10. And it's not listed there. So I don't know why. But still, um, these top 10 conflict triggers, right? Or top topics of conflict, I'm thinking, yeah, every single one of them, I think probably, or at least most of them, at some point in our 33 marriage, we've had conflict around. Probably all of them. I don't know. Um, and so, but anyways, but just to know that conflict is not, it's normal. Okay. So our goal is not a conflict free marriage. If your goal is a conflict free marriage, you have a very unrealistic goal. We need to view conflict not as a bad thing, but a normal thing. But in saying that, we also need to view it as understanding that the danger in unresolved, unmanaged, and pride driven, selfish, motivated conflict. Okay. Because if that's what's happening, if that's how it's being dealt with, it is a recipe for disaster. I've already mentioned that. So just know this. I guess what I'm trying to say is conflict is normal. We need to view it as such and have the tools to resolve it in a healthy manner so that it actually, we can use this as something that strengthens our marriage rather than something that breaks it down and tears it up.
Yep, and that's the thing right now, or right now, that's the thing right there is to resolve it right away
Yeah.
and not like I talked about holding it all in, and which we're gonna talk about later. But and there are 2 main reasons for conflict. First and foremost, it's our sinful nature. And in James 4:1-2, it explains this, that quarrels, fights, and conflicts stem from selfish inner desires.
We all have them.
Yeah, and like another word, I guess, passion or less, warring within a person. We all have them. Yes. I mean, God says we are like, we
Hmm.
all, we all have sinned. There's not one that's righteous, not one. And two, there are different needs between men and women. We are so bipolar opposites, the way God made us, but put us together and oh my goodness. And if you could work out those conflicts, then it's a beautiful thing what you have.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so let me ask you all this. What do you think a woman's top need is? I don't know if you've read the book, His Needs, Her Needs, so you might know the answer. But if you had a guess, what do you think it is?
And it may be different again for different women.
Yeah.
This is just generalizing. Um, yeah, I just want to say that.
Yeah. Um, so what do you think it is? Just think about it. What is a woman's top need? Okay. So I let you think about it. So number one, affection. It's affection. We all want to be loved. And just, I mean, I want him to love me and like be all over me. And um, okay. And then let me ask you this. What do you think a men's top need is? According to that same book, His
Sex.
Needs, Her Needs. Ah, I was gonna ask you. You weren't supposed to say that. It's sex.
Everybody
Hello.
knew it. They were all thinking it as soon as you asked the
Yes.
question.
Well, the men were thinking it. I don't know about the women.
I
They,
think all the
some women might have said it food. Like every man needs food, right?
that's number two. No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, sex. That is a man's top need.
Hey, we're getting close to jumping into this courageous conversation blueprint that we have for you, but I just want to say we just want to share a couple things before we do, and we start to wrap this up. Is how most people handle conflict is not God's way. Most people either handle it my way, their way, they run away, or they handle it your way. And I'm going to explain each one of these. You may see yourself or your spouse, slipping into one of these. Or 4, halfway, okay? Or 5, God's way. What are these
That is
5?
so true.
Isn't it true?
Oh, that's so true.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So I know we've slipped into different ones of these in years past as well, but like number 1, my way. It's my way or the highway. Okay, this is one way to handle conflict. There's conflict between you and your spouse. You want A, I want B. Hey, it's B.
And
It's my way or the
really,
highway.
really, that's sinful nature right there. That's
Right.
prideful. You're full of pride. If you're like my way and you're not hearing the other person out.
Prideful, 100%.
Yeah.
Unloving,
Unloving. Yes.
uncaring, definitely not having the
The
heart
fruit
and
of the
mind of
spirit.
Christ. Nope.
Yes.
No fruits of the spirit, not laying down your life for your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously not the godly, biblical, right way to handle it. The second way that people handle it is to run away. They just bury their head in the sand. Have you ever done that? Or maybe your spouse has, or you've seen other people do this?
Yes, I have. But then it festers and like you just can't take it anymore.
It doesn't lead to
And,
good things,
and
does it?
then like bitterness, anger. Ugh, yeah, it gets ugly.
Yeah, to just this is just the avoidance, again, bury your head in the sand, let's just hope it goes away, even though it probably won't.
It doesn't.
Not healthy,
No,
okay?
not healthy at all.
The third way is your way, okay? It may on the surface look like great, but it could also build bitterness and resentment. And your way is simply,
Mm,
I'm not willing to even have a discussion about this with you. I'm not willing to open up. I'm not willing to be vulnerable. I'm not willing to share an alternative perspective to what you have. And
mm,
so everything is just your way. Yeah, you want to do it that way? Sure, your way. It's just the ultimate compliance. And in obviously our heart should be to serve and put others' needs above our own. Okay. Well, I'm not addressing that. I am addressing this idea of I'm not even caring. There's not even conversation happening. Okay. Not a good thing. We're so opposite, men and women typically. And Nicole and I are so opposite in so many
mm,
ways. And
mhm.
like Nicole said, you said this a minute ago, that's the beauty of what God created, is that women's
Yes.
needs and men's needs are so different. Women and men are so different. This is a wonderful thing designed by God, right?
He knew what he was
He
doing.
knew exactly what he was
We're
doing.
stronger together. I'll
And
just tell you that
for
right now.
sure. And
Yes.
it's so much better to view those differences instead of being frustrated by them, view them as a positive because they are,
Mhm.
not because we're believing in something that's not real. And why am I saying all this on this topic? Why? Because if everything is just, hey, whatever you want, whatever you want, whatever you want, I don't know if that's wise. I don't know if that's smart. I don't know if that's the best plan. In fact, I don't even think it is, but whatever you want, then we're not even
Mhm.
bringing to the table our God given gifts, talents, perspective
Mm,
that God gave us to
true.
have these conversations that we're talking about today so that and the end result can be the best decision, choice, direction, turn, whatever it is that we need to be doing
Yeah.
for our marriage, for our family, for our witness, for the world
Yeah.
around us.
Like an example I'm thinking of, if you're giving the woman her way all the time and like basically she's wearing the pants, then you never give her that opportunity to be submissive to the husband, to
Hmm.
learn that submissiveness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And vice versa, I
Yeah.
guess. If a guy gets everything he wants and there's never even a conversation about another perspective,
Hmm.
it's not
Yeah.
serving him well or the best that's not a true helpmeet, right? Okay, so there's
Yeah.
there's
You
my
get
way.
deep. You can get deep in the weeds with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we better stop
So
there.
there's my way, just my way or the highway. There's runaway, right? Bury my head, just I'm gonna ignore it. There's your way, always your way, your way. I'm not even gonna give you my opinion, okay, to an unhealthy extreme. There's halfway. This is the 50-50 compromise. Hey, this is better. It's better. Hey, we got to do your way last time. We're doing my way this time. We're gonna go 50-50 here. Better than the first 3, but not biblical. and then there's God's way. And God's way is 100% here plus 100% here is an amazing, incredible, phenomenal marriage. So that's where we need to be. We need to be giving all that we have to the marriage, both ways, obviously. And this whole conflict resolution process is part of that, is part of bringing that to the table in that way.
Yeah. So good. So good. So here are ground rules for healthy conflict. So this is the do not list. So one thing that we try not to do is criticize. Do not criticize your spouse.
Can I add
Put them
something?
down. Yeah, go ahead.
This is our list, but and I recommend adopting everything on this list. But you might
For
have other
sure.
things that you want to add to this list. Okay, so I really I think it. Don't you think it would be
Yes.
wise of everybody listening to sit down and go, hey,
Yeah,
let's create our do not list.
for sure.
That these are just off limits, non-negotiable.
Yes.
We agree we are not going to do these
Yeah,
things
and
by
there's
God's
one
grace.
on this list that I would add, actually, looking it
All right,
over, but,
all right, we're adding to
okay.
it today. I love it.
Yeah, so
Let's
using
go.
using always and never. So in the beginning of our marriage, believe it or not, I was, oh my goodness, I always would
You
always
always used
was
always.
I always would say, "Always, you always this," or "You never." And then Alan taught me, like, "No, we do not say those words." And then something else that's not on this list is the D word. We don't ever say
Mm.
divorce. So that should be on our list, I feel
Well, it
like.
is on our list. It's just not on this list, huh?
No, it's
We
not on
we
this
we
list,
had
but
that early in our marriage, like that was not even going to be a consideration. That word would never
yes.
come out of our mouth. And the one or two times early on it came out years ago, we nipped that in the
Oh,
bud, and
yeah.
it hasn't come out of either one of our
Since.
mouths in
Yep. We do not say
20
that word.
something, 30
Yep.
years. I don't know, 30 something years by
Yes.
now.
Another one is raising our voices to one another. So getting angry, mad, yeah, there's no reason. No reason. You can talk calmly. And yeah, when we go through what we're going to go through, you'll see you won't need to raise your voice. Name calling. I think name calling is, yeah, not right.
No place for it.
Nope. Physical aggression.
Obviously, no place for it.
Yep. Walking away without agreement, and only like just giving up, right? That's like,
It's like walking out in the middle
yeah,
of a
yeah,
conversation.
I'm done. I'm out of here. Like
Mm-mm.
I don't even want to talk about this. I think the only time is if you both agree to take a break, because I think it's super wise, and we were taught this that from another wise couple that I mean, sometimes you do get pretty upset. It's like, okay, I just need a breather. Like I need a timeout.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in the other room for a minute or two, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss this. So I think that's
Yeah.
the only time. But
Yeah.
withholding intimacy, and First Corinthians 7 speaks directly about this. Um, so I think that's wrong. Okay, I'm hurt by the other person, so I'm not going to give it to you. No, not healthy. And then using kids as leverage, that's super dangerous.
Can
And
we go
it's
back
not
to withholding intimacy just real quick?
sure.
I mean, and that is why I just want to add one thing. That is why this topic is so important, because neither one side or the other, whoever feels like they've been maybe wronged or is having the issue with the other person, whatever that conflict may be, is not going to be in a great position to have intimacy with
Yes, they're not
sexual
gonna.
intimacy with the other person. And
Yep,
so
that's
that's
so
why
true.
we need to work through these things as quickly as possible
ASAP.
so that
Yes.
again,
Well,
intimacy can happen.
it goes right back to what is the most important need for a man?
Mm,
Sex. So if it's in that case, like, yeah, withholding it's like so important. That's how you feel so important and so loved. It's like, okay, we need to work this out ASAP.
right.
So yeah.
Yep.
So it's good. I'm
Because
glad
the
you
answer is
said that.
not just keep having sex and don't deal with conflict. The answer is
Mhm.
deal with the conflict so that you can continue to be one and have regular,
Yeah.
sexual relations,
Yeah.
obviously.
And then, so I just talked about using kids as leverage and
Mm-mm.
how, yeah, that's
That's
just
a do not.
dangerous. It's not right. And like when we would get in past fights, we would try not to argue, in front of the kids. Like if we were going to talk about it, it's like, all right, let's go to another room. Because
Right.
I just do not think it's healthy for the kids to see that. It promotes insecurity. They're wondering, like, oh, what's going on? Dad's angry or mom's angry or whatever. So yeah, it's just that's something, we always try to do. Like, okay, let's
Yep.
talk about this. And another good reason why you want to make sure you talk about it. And okay, so the next one is fighting in front of the kids. Okay, yeah, we just talked about that one. Sorry. And then bringing up the past. That's a big no-no, and that's something, yeah, that we don't try to do because that's just putting down the other person and, like, hanging it
Mm-mm.
over their
Mm-mm.
head. Like, God doesn't do that
It's the
with
opposite of
us. He is
forgiveness.
so loving. Yeah, it's the opposite. I can't imagine, like, of all the things I've done in the past, if he was hanging that over my head.
Thankfully, he doesn't.
Yes. So and we wanna be Christ-like. So, talking to others outside of marriage.
It's a big one. Huge one.
Yes, that's huge, and that could be with, a friend, a girlfriend, or whatever, a friend, extended family, so
So don't be airing dirty laundry
no.
outside of these four
Yeah, because then
walls.
that person sees you, like, if
Absolutely.
I went to my mom and I'm like, "Oh, Alan did this, Alan did that," then she's just gonna hear all the negative, not all the positive, and then
It's
it's
going to
just
change
not
the way they view
view or feel about you.
your spouse
Yeah,
maybe forever. And they're not the one that sees the repentance, the forgiveness, the
exactly.
communication, the reconciliation, the humility that comes maybe at a later point or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
not
Okay, another
not
one
good.
another one, public embarrassment. I remember, like, in the past seeing this husband just, like, scream at his wife. I think we're at Walmart or Target, I don't know, and just scream at us, and I just
Mm.
remember felt like like, it felt like someone just punched me in the stomach. I felt so bad for her. It's like, how could that is so unloving. How could he do that? In front of everyone. So I don't know if it's like a control thing or what, but I'm like, that is awful, and she just looked like she wanted to bawl. So definitely you do not want to embarrass your spouse in public. And it could be like not even yelling, just putting them down.
Anything that
Same,
embarrasses them.
yeah, anything that
Yeah.
embarrasses them. And then forcing conversation when the spouse isn't ready. That's a huge one. We want to make sure because, you definitely don't want to go, like we talked about, too long to talk about it. But you also need to have good discernment,
It's good,
when is a
Nicole.
good time to talk. And then the last one, demeaning or condescending. So I don't know if you have something to say
Just
about that
yeah,
one.
don't put them down. There's no need to put each other down. It just
Hmm.
none of these things are going to serve.
Especially in front of the
None of these
kids.
things are love.
Yep.
None of these
Yep.
things are love,
Yep.
and none of these things are going to help the conflict be resolved in a healthy manner. Now we do have a to-do list. It's much shorter, but our to-do list is, hey, let's pray before we go into this courageous conversation. Let's pray before we talk.
Hmm.
Let's also remember who we're talking to, right? Who are you talking to? You're talking to your best friend. You're
Your
talking to your soulmate.
soulmate.
You're
Yes.
talking to the person that you chose of all the people on the planet to
Hmm.
spend the rest of your life with. You're talking to the mother or father, if you have children or a child, one or more children, of your children. You're talking to the grandparents of your grandchildren, right? I mean, the grandparent of your grandchildren. So also another thing is that we choose to think the best of each other. It's easy to assume the best. It's easy to assume the worst. Maybe it's easier to assume the worst. I don't know. But since we have a choice to assume, we're going to assume the best. That's just a choice we're making. We're going to assume the best in our spouse.
Hmm.
And Nicole already mentioned this, but that it's a possibility to do when she said we don't, the do not is just to walk out on the conversation. Yeah, that's a
Hmm.
do not. But then she mentioned what is okay for us is to take breaks if needed, to say, hey, I need some time. I need some space, whatever the case may be. I just need to get my emotions under control. I need whatever the reason is, doesn't necessarily matter. I need some time. And but always with a plan to reconvene.
Sometimes it might be because you're hungry. Like, I always know
Yeah, I need to eat.
when not to talk to this guy. Like, if it's something serious that we're going to talk about and I know his, the blood sugar levels are low, I'm like, "Hun, you need to eat. Let's talk about this after you eat."
And I
And
used
I
that's so
yeah,
funny. That's so funny
it
because I used to
happens a
be
lot.
like, "What are you talking about? Like, what how would you know?
Yeah,
Like,
he would get so
I
frustrated
don't
and
need to
even
eat."
yeah. I'm like, "No, just eat and then we'll talk. It's not wise right now." Or tired. If you're overtired,
Yes,
that is
yes,
another good one. Like, we
yes.
do not talk about something serious when we're overtired.
Which is why we talked on last week's episode, I believe it was, about how, it's okay to, not letting the sun go down on your anger doesn't mean you have to have this thing all worked out before you go to sleep, right? It just means that, ideally we have a plan to deal with it tomorrow when we wake up and that we're going to sleep not angry, with that we're
Yeah.
starting the process. But
Mhm.
to take a break to eat, to take a break to sleep, to take a break to whatever, just cool down maybe, no problem. So that's one of the things that, is on our to-do list, or it's okay to do. Another thing that's on our to-do list is listen well.
Mm.
We mentioned this, recently as well, but James 1:19 talks about being quick to listen, being slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. So we want to be that. We want to exercise that wisdom from God's word. And then this is a huge one. Finally, we're not seeking to. Our goal isn't to be understood. We want to have the posture and the heart attitude that yes, I do want to be understood, but my biggest goal in this is to understand. I want to seek first to understand, and then to be understood. Okay. First, if both parties are coming into it as, hey, my goal is to understand my spouse and then to be understood, it's a game changer. So that's huge. Um,
Mhm.
we'll jump in. We'll end this by talking about we're sharing with you the Courageous Conversation Guide. Again, I just want to share it is in the show, should be in the show notes below this episode on whichever podcast platform you are on and listening to or watching us on. And we have kind of coined it stop, drop, and talk.
Yes. Yeah, I came up with that. Stop, drop, and talk. Because I'm like, hun, that is so good. Because like, you know how firefighters come, they'll, when you were younger, came to your class and they would tell you, if you have fire on you, what do you do? Stop, drop, and roll. I'm like, well,
Right.
that's what it's like. This is like a crisis. We need to protect our marriage. We need to deal with this ASAP. It's like having fire on your back. So I came up with the idea, if we need to talk, our little hint or whatever is stop, drop, and talk. Hun, stop, drop, and talk. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Uh-oh, what'd I do?" No, I'm kidding.
But what's really cool is we know what the plan is. And the
Mhm.
plan is the Courageous Conversation Guide. So those of you on YouTube, I know you can't
It's
read
so
it from
helpful.
there, but
Y'all will love it.
this is it. It's simple. It's a one-page document I'm holding up in front of the camera here for everyone on the Spotify podcast or Apple podcast, wherever you're listening, Amazon Music, whatever. Um, so this is the free download. You can go grab it in the show notes below. There's a link to it, but it's 8 questions. It consists of 8 questions, and I'm going to read them to you. I'm going to explain them to you, and then we're going to end by role playing. Okay.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. I
All
love
right.
this episode.
Okay. So, so let's assume that Nicole has told me not that you need to use stop, drop, and talk. That's just our
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
Okay.
you can
But
come
if you
up with
want to
anything.
use it. Okay.
Your
Steal it.
code word.
Yeah. Steal it all you want. But let's say she tells me, hey, we need to stop, drop, and talk, whatever. Great.
And the reason why we use that, I mean, because we could be at I don't know, a party, or maybe we're with family, and it's like, we need to talk about this. Something you just said or I said, like, we need to go to the other room or somewhere or step outside.
Yes. And so this could end up being, again, a 5-minute conversation. Resolved, done. 3-minute conversation potentially. Or, it could be a 30-minute conversation. It just depends on maybe the seriousness of the nature of the thing, of
And
the topic.
there might be tears, so, yeah, be ready just for that. There could be a lot of emotions. I know there was for us, and I was shocked that there was, but yeah.
So I'm going to read this to you. And the first little paragraph at the top or sentence, two sentences says the purpose of this conversation, and this is important, is to understand your spouse's thoughts and position. I already said that. Okay. That's said differently, but your first objective is to understand their thoughts and their position. We really need to release the pressure of feeling like you need to agree. If you can release the pressure of feeling like you need to agree with your spouse, it is so freeing. Now I don't need to agree with her. I just have to understand, at least the best that
Mhm.
to my ability. And that is freeing. This is huge.
It
So
takes the pressure off.
if you download this, read these first two paragraphs before you jump to the 8 questions, because some of this is just solid gold. So I'm releasing the pressure on myself to have to agree with what she's saying. I just have to understand. Much easier. Okay. It's much easier. But it says you must hear them out fully and respectfully, seeking to understand their point of view. Okay. Some important guidelines is the next paragraph before we get to the 8 questions. Here's what it says: do not attempt to do this without help unless you're emotionally ready. Okay. Just the word of warning. Some of you may be listening to this and your marriages are so severely damaged
It's good.
that if you jump
So
right
good.
into this
Yeah.
and go for the biggest, most pressing issue on your heart right now, and you're so you two are so out of shape, okay, not physically out of shape, but you're so out of shape of being able to communicate effectively like this. It could be damaging, very damaging, right? So you may want to get a third party involved, or you may want to deal with just something much smaller. You may have this or several big pressing issues, and you may want to go for a smaller, like the sound of the wrapper that annoys you, which we're going to use as an example here in just a second. Okay. Um, so just a word of warning. Also, only deal with one. It says all this on the guide. So only deal with one issue at a time. One issue at a time. When you go through these 8 questions, it's not 3 different issues. The other person can't process. It's just not fair to the other person. You deal with one issue at a time. Okay. Again, pick the smaller one for practice if the larger ones feel too risky initially. We'll get to those. You'll get to those, but maybe you don't want to start with those. Also, use I feel statements. I feel this, I feel that, not you always this statements, right? Not you this, you that, you whatever, fill in the blank. Use I feel. It's going to be so much more productive. It's just basic communication skills here. Applies to inside and outside of marriage. Also, go for progress, not perfection. And lastly, one person goes through all 8 questions. One person gets to ask all 8 questions. So if Nicole tells me we need to talk, right? Stop, drop, and talk, then I'm going to ask her the 8 questions and she's going to answer them. And here's another freeing thing. In when there's conflict in marriage, it may not just be one-sided. There may be things that were unresolved from the past. Shouldn't necessarily be in a healthy marriage, but there could have been, right? This is the reality that we may find ourselves in. Well, the cool part is about this is if Nicole comes to me with an issue that she wants to go through this exercise with, I know I'm gonna ask great questions, and I can't really debate it with her. You'll see here in a second. I'm only seeking to understand her. But I also know that here the rules of engagement here say that when we're done with this, it gets flipped.
Yes.
And she must ask me those same 8 questions. The first question being, what's the most pressing issue on your mind? What's your most pressing issue in our marriage? And I can say, nothing. Nothing. And we're done. Or I can answer what it is, the one thing, and then she can go through the other 7 questions with me. So here's the other 7 questions. Question 1, sorry, here's all 8. Question 1, what is your most pressing issue? And then you rephrase what you understand they're saying. This is very important. So she says, my most pressing issue is your annoying noise you make with the wrapper on the bar that you eat. And I say, okay, so what I hear you saying, Nicole, is it really annoys you when I make noises with the wrapper of the bar unnecessarily.
Yes.
And she says, yes or no. She says, "Yes, I'm golden. Okay, I got it. I got it." If I'm wrong in my understanding of what she said, and this is where
Are we going through this
we
now
will in
or
just a
no?
second.
Okay, okay.
If I'm wrong in my understanding of what she said, she's going to then correct me. No, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was da 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 da. Or she might go, "Yeah, that's what I was saying, but you didn't get it all. I was also saying da 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 da." And until she said, or he, depends on who's doing it, in this case, Nicole, until she says, "Yes, that's it," you keep asking you keep doing this. Okay, so let's see if I got it right the second time. What you're saying is da 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 da. Da. And this can happen as many times as it needs to happen until she says yes.
Mhm.
That's correct. Okay, that's question one. Question two, is there anything else? Remember, the goal is we want to get to the root, one issue at a time, and not just the surface level issue. And so we always want to ask, is there anything else? Because there may be another underlying issue under that issue, and we want to get that splinter out, right? We want to get to the splinter under the splinter. We don't want to leave one in there to fester. Question three, how is it affecting you? And listen actively, right? Put yourself in their shoes, feel what they feel. And again, express your job is to express understanding, not agreement. I want to say that again. Understanding, not agreement. Question four, I'm going to ask, or whoever, what will the future look like if nothing changes? And why are we asking this question? We want to seek to discover the high cost of avoiding the issue. I want to know, what is the cost? Not that I want to avoid the issue, but what is the cost of this issue if it gets avoided? That's going to help me put it in perspective and help me, obviously, give me more motivation to avoid it, to resolve it. Excuse me. Again, rephrase what you think you heard them say. So, what I think I just heard you say is, if this doesn't get resolved, da 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 da, whatever they said, right? Question number six, what part of this do you feel is your responsibility? Don't blame, don't complain, don't explain. Just what do you feel is your part of the responsibility? Question seven, what part of this do you feel is my part of the responsibility? Okay, it takes two to tango. So usually there is something that can be both parties, both side of the equation's responsibility. Hopefully, maybe not always. Okay, so number seven, what is the one thing? Not what is the 10 things, not what are the 5 things I need to do. What is the one thing I can do to make you feel more loved? If I'm talking to my wife, and wives, you might want to choose the word respected, because generally men want to
Mhm.
feel respected by anybody and everybody, especially our wives, and women want to feel loved, right? So, what is the one thing? Question seven is, what is the one thing I can do to make you feel more loved in this area, right? In the context of this question, this issue. And number eight, can we pray together about it? That's it. It's very simple. It can move very quickly, or again, it could get bogged down in peeling the layers of the onion as you get down to the root. And that's the goal. Get to the root of what really is going on so that you can understand it, so that you can know what you can do to help this situation be better in the future, and the understanding that takes place from both sides. But the person who's wrong
Yes.
is miraculous the right word? I don't know. It's amazing. We all want to be understood. We want to be known.
Yes.
We want to be heard.
You
We want to
just
be
feel
understood,
loved. You just feel
cared for.
so loved and, yeah, understood.
Yeah, I love it. So, shall we do a role play?
Yeah,
Should we do this for
let's do
them?
it.
I know I started it a little bit
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of with
yeah,
the
that's
rapper,
okay.
but
We're gonna give
um,
you a silly example, but
okay.
you'll get the gist of it.
Okay. So again, free guide in the show notes. You can go grab it. This is what we're working off of. And I save this on my phone so that, we're not doing this often enough that I have all 8 questions perfectly memorized. So I literally just
You don't wanna lose
read
it.
it like I mean, I could memorize it. I just haven't, I guess, but I pretty much have it memorized for the most part, but I don't want to skip one. I don't want to miss one. And I literally will just read the question. So Nicole tells me we need to talk, stop, drop, and talk, that there's an issue. It's on her heart that, she'd like to talk about. And so I'm going to ask her question number one. What is your most pressing issue?
My most pressing issue is when you eat that bar, you're really loud. That wrapper is so loud, and it just really is annoying to me.
So I need to repeat it back to her.
I
So,
tried not to let it be, but it's annoying.
okay, well, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this. So
thank you.
what I hear you saying, tell me if I'm correct, is the way I make the noise with the wrapper when I
Yeah, like when you eat it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're just real loud.
okay. Instead of just, like, taking it out of the wrapper or
Yeah, we'll
something?
get there. We'll get
Okay.
there.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that the way I eat the bars and make the noise with the wrapper is very annoying to you, and you would like
Yes.
me to change and not do that.
Yes, please.
Okay, so she said yes, so I don't need to ask again, like, I got it right. Okay, so now I know the problem. So then I'm gonna ask, question 2, is there anything else?
Yes, I feel like I've asked you this before. You told me you were gonna change. That's it.
Yes, and I have, and I
You've
and I
gotten better a little bit, but it's still
it's
happening.
still happening?
Yes.
Okay, so, what tell me if I got this right.
Mhm.
Me making noises with that wrapper really does bother you, and you've asked me before to do something about it, and you feel like maybe I've gotten a little better, but I have not resolved the problem.
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
it.
So I don't need to ask again. So now I know, I will ask. Oh, but I need to keep asking. Is there anything else until there isn't anything else? So I'm going to ask. Is there anything else?
No, there's not.
Okay.
Just that.
So we're at the bottom of
You're
the.
good.
If she's being honest, right? I mean,
I
that's
am.
we can't. We have to assume that because how would we know otherwise? Then we're done with that, and we move on to question 3. How is this affecting you, Nicole?
Well, I don't feel loved, for one. I don't feel like you are really
Because I'm making
listening.
noise with the wrapper.
Yeah, I don't feel well, it's aggravating,
Hmm.
okay? That the noise is very aggravating, and then by you, not listening to me and you're continuing to do it, I don't feel love.
Okay. So it's making you feel unloved because, well, it's annoying.
Yeah,
The noise is annoying,
yeah,
and because I haven't just completely stopped doing it, it makes you feel like you're not as important and you're not loved. You don't feel loved
exactly, yeah.
when I do that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Okay. So then I move to question 4. What will the future look like if nothing changes, would you say? Not saying I'm not going to change. I just like, let's just talk about that. What would that look like if nothing changes?
I just won't feel loved or cared about, like, you just don't care about me and how I feel.
Okay. Well, I definitely don't want that. Um, and so what I hear you saying is that I know this is a lot of what I hear you saying, or let me get this right, see if I got this right, make sure I'm understanding you right, but it's worth it. Okay. It's repetitive, but it's worth it. And what I hear you saying is if nothing changes, you're just every time that happens, it's just a it's a kind of a statement almost that you're not as valued and loved
That's right.
as you want to feel.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I don't want that. That really bothers
good.
me. And
I
then
don't
we
want it either.
yeah, I bet. And then we move on to number 5. What part of this wrapper scenario do you feel like, if any, is your responsibility?
I think I could work on definitely patience when it's happening, like, if we're, say, driving in the car, and then I can kindly, like, remind you in the sweetest way, "Hey, hon, you're doing it again."
That would be nice. That's helpful.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
sweet
Yeah,
instead of,
I could do that because I know sometimes we forget. I do that when I smack my gum.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm not
smacking gum.
perfect either, so
What part of this would you say, this is question number 6, by the way. What part of this would you feel is my responsibility?
well, when I ask you nicely that you'll stop right away, which I know you will.
Okay.
Because I know sometimes you forget, and I'll show you grace mercy for sure.
Okay.
But just sometimes I forget with the bubble gum. But
What
yes.
what would you recommend I do when, my hands aren't clean and I don't have a way to wash them, and I don't wanna touch the bar with my hands? So I'm, like, kinda, like, peeling the wrapper down like
Well, we
that,
can,
and eating
yeah.
it like that?
Yeah, I can see that happening. If that's the case, say, "Hun, my hands are dirty," like, just communicate that, and maybe I can blast music or something during that time and roll down the windows. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do that.
yeah,
That's
and I
that's a
could do
great
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that,
Yeah,
actually.
just yeah,
This has been
blast some
good. This
music.
has been
Yeah.
helpful. We should record podcast every day.
Oh, you make me laugh.
Okay, so that was 7. What is the one thing okay, so no, that was, 6,
Mhm.
my responsibility. 7, what is one thing I can do to make you feel loved in this area?
The one thing that you could do is just being careful when
Okay.
you know, when you're eating that bar. What would really make me feel love if you, like, took the wrapper all the way off, but I know that, like, you can't always do that in every scenario, especially if you've been out in public, but if you're home and you can wash your hands, like, oh boy, that would make me feel so loved.
Okay,
'Cause
okay.
then we wouldn't even have to deal with the wrapper.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
And then we moved to 8 and to say, okay, this has been really helpful. I'm thankful that you shared your heart with me, and
yeah,
I do understand, and I do care, and I want to
thank you.
not do this, and can we pray together? Number
Yes.
8 is, can we pray together? So
Lord, help me with the bar situation. No, I'm kidding.
so I just want to say, since we chose the bar thing, it's kind of funny because it
I
really
know,
does
it's
bother
silly.
her.
It does, I
That
know.
noise,
Everyone has a pet
and
peeve.
can you hear it on the microphone? That noise
Yeah.
really bothers her.
Oh,
And I guess everyone has a pet peeve because
yeah, that's
Nicole's the
mine.
most easygoing person,
Yeah,
and
things
she's
don't bother
not.
me.
She's go with the flow, and
Like,
yet,
you could smack your gum and it wouldn't even bother me.
yeah, I
I'd be
don't chew
like
gum.
I'd be smacking right there with you.
Yeah, you would. Oh my word. Anyway, okay,
Um,
so we hope that's
mhm.
helpful. We know it. We know that it's helpful. Also know it's repetitive, but it's worth it. So don't let the fact that it's repetitive cause you to cut corners on it. It is so, so, so worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah. And next week, we're going to be talking about a biblical marriage mindset. Pretty excited about that one, Nicole?
Oh, yes. I am so excited.
Yes. And just what God's word has to say about our mind, our thoughts, how that
Mhm.
relates to our marriage, and how that can
It's
really be a
huge.
huge blessing to our marriage or detrimental to our marriage. And so that is something we're super excited to talk about next week. And just want to say, as we start to wrap this up, if this episode has been helpful, would you consider helping us to get the word out by sharing this Impact Marriage podcast with at least one other couple who values their marriage? And also, feel free to check out some of the resources on our website at allanandnicole.com. It's spelled ALLAN and Nicole NICOLE.com.
And if you'd be willing to leave a 5-star review for us on your favorite podcast app or possibly share it on your social media, that would mean the world to us.
Yes.
Our social media links are in the show notes below.
Yes. Let's close in prayer, shall we?
Yes.
Lord, I just thank you so much for giving us marriage, for giving
Mm.
us this amazing gift and institution of marriage. And I just thank you for all the listeners that are here with us, wanting to learn and grow and protect and improve their marriage so that our marriages can be shining lights to they can be blessings to ourselves, to our spouse, so they can be shining lights to our family and the world around us. And I just pray that you would protect us all from the enemy that wants to get a foothold into our marriages by unresolved conflict. And I pray that this would be helpful and that these tools would be useful and that we would all use them to bring more glory and honor to you and to have a more fulfilling, enjoyable, productive, fruitful marriage. And I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. In the meantime, have a super blessed week and keep living relationship rich. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.